we want to go beyond perceptions that are conflicting, there is only one way, which is communication. We are not talking about, a future integration. We are talking about living together, about common and equal citizenship, about sense of belonging.
You see the beginnings of a generation of young Muslims saying, actually, we're European. We're just as European as anybody else, and we happen to be Muslims just as other people happen to be Christian or atheist or secular or Hindu or Buddhist or whatever else. But essentially, we're all Europeans.
Lots of Muslims don't have experience of living anywhere else, or they really belong to the community. And I feel there's a sort of a new wave of youth that are coming up and that it isn't worried about citizenship or not. It's just a fact that they're there.
Ukraine has been going for almost 15 years. It was set up in 1996 and it has roughly 180 members at the moment, member organisations.
Ukraine essentially brings to your everyday what's happening on a European level as regards policy related to equality, discrimination, so on. So we're always up to date, essentially, on what's happening.
It's a network of organisations from the race equality community who've got an interest in developments in Europe. There's a recognition that a lot of the major policy initiatives are being driven by the European institutions.
Tariq Ramadan, obviously, he's a big face, big name, big speaker also. So obviously to hear him speak is always inspiring.
He's of course the Islamic superstar at the moment, so it's always a full house whenever he's there.
Islam is now a European religion. Islam is a Western religion. And when the President Barack Obama was talking in June last year, he was not only speaking to the Muslims around the world, he was talking to the Americans by saying that Islam is an American religion. I think that the Europeans should get the message as well. The sense of belonging, it's a psychological dimension. It's the inner integration. I feel at home. I can be socially integrated, intellectually integrated, get a job, have a PhD and everything, and still I don't feel at home. Why? Because the discourse around is always talking about to be integrated, to prove your integration, to prove that you are a citizen, and not to be able to say us, but still have this sense that it's us versus them. The future really is to tackle the issue by being able to look at it from a new we. Us as Europeans. We are talking about citizenship, we are talking about a common ground, and then it's not you Muslims tell us about you, it's us Europeans. How do we deal with this issue? I think that events like this one are important because they help us to tackle issues that are very problematic and controversial. In the political sphere, the media coverage are not so much talked about among citizens and among ourselves. We need a national movement of local initiatives where we come at that level and we promote this understanding. And this is something which is very challenging. It takes time and effort, but there is no other way, I would say. What is going on at the grassroots level is going very fast as to the change of the mindset of the Muslims, as to the surrounding society is changing. But our rhetoric at the national level is keeping on speaking about integration, and by talking about integration, we make it a problem. The success of integration is to stop talking about integration, because to carry on this discussion about integration is to nurture a perception which is in contradiction with the realities on the ground. Citizenship means that you have not only rights, you have duties. You have to contribute. This is the very meaning of citizenship. This is the very meaning where I'm not going to justify myself. I'm not going to ask you to respond to your questions. I'm coming with my question, I'm coming with my contribution. I don't have to justify or to be on the defensive with loyalty. We should not be passive citizens. It's all about our own commitment. We cannot blame the governments and the others. We should not play the victims and nurture the victim mentalities on both sides, so to speak, among Muslims, but also non-Muslims. It's a commitment. We have to be involved in our discussion. We have to be involved in changing mentalities and changing ourselves. To nurture a sense of belonging, it's to really reconcile the objective of the legal tradition, the Islamic legal tradition, with the objectives of the West, and to understand that they are not in conflict. not to oppose legal systems, but to join legal purposes. Our duty as citizens is really to get out and just to reach out, to be able to talk to our fellow citizens, Muslims and non-Muslims, and to just understand that we have common hopes. This is the way on both sides to shape a new narrative, a new we, where we all together are dealing about this and we are able to say, yes, no problem, it's a European Islam, it's European Muslims, they are at the same time Muslims and Europeans. This could happen if and only if we all understand that we are Europeans and we are talking to each other as Europeans. Thank you.
The Ramadan Festival in the Netherlands, it's brilliant. In the UK, especially because the UK is a bit of an island mentality sometimes. You don't quite know what's going on over there on that place that we call Europe. So these kind of events are really important to remind the UK that we are a part of Europe.
The Muslim community could really use some positive PR. If you see a Muslim on TV, he's usually angry or insulted or a terrorist. And if it's a she, then she's usually abused or abandoned. Not a lot of positive role models going on there. My name is Bastian Verberny. I'm an intercultural consultant. And I've been festival director of the Ramadan Festival the last 3 years. Events like this are important at the moment. I hope in the future they won't be necessary anymore because it talks about Muslims and citizenship as if the two are not compatible. But my belief is that there's nothing in mainstream Islam that prevents you from being a perfectly fine and proper citizen in Britain, Holland, or anywhere else in the world. The Ramadan Festival started in Amsterdam in 2005. That's not a coincidence. It was exactly 1 year after the killing of the critical filmmaker Theo van Gogh. The Muslim community wanted to show, hey, we're feeling very bad about this as well, but we want to invite everybody during Ramadan to come and eat with us, to show that we care about the situation and you shouldn't be worried that every Muslim is a potential terrorist living here in Amsterdam. Our goal is to initiate and sustain durable contact between people from different cultural and ideological backgrounds. The logo, we have the traffic lights in Holland and we put one of them in a hijab and made a family out of it. We had a large database of Muslim families. And if you're interested, Dutch non-Muslim, then you can go to our website and say, well, I want to try out a dinner with a Muslim family. So we basically were sort of like a blind date agency between Muslims and non-Muslims. We had a little bit of controversial motto last year, taste each other. Worked great with the media. Media are very interested to join those dinners. If you always talk about culture or religion, that's where you differ from the majority Dutch. So you won't get really far with understanding each other, but because that's inherently different. But food, especially free food, that's what the Dutch like. A lot of cities are hosting iftars. People are copying the concept. Police stations, municipality, they're all hosting iftars. I think the iftar is now like a regular Dutch word at the moment. So great achievement. We also had a bus with a mobile iftar, so we went to local neighborhoods and invited the whole neighborhood to share an iftar meal. People who don't come to meetings like this, then they come out of their houses and see Muslims in best shape, sharing food with everybody else. I hope that the people take away that there's really a new generation of Muslims that don't even look like Muslims, like myself for example, but are really flexible and fully integrated with the societies they live in. Not everybody thinks the same, unfortunately, so we have to have this discussion now, but well, it's my firm belief and hope that in the near future we'll get past this. Thank you very much.
My name's Yasmin Sheikh. I'm here in London today at Evershares to launch the Ukraine Young Muslim Citizens Resource Pack. My role is Citywide Specialist Youth Worker and I work with Muslim young people in Leicester.
The pack is really for youth workers, for teachers, for anyone who works with young people and most specifically anyone who works with young Muslims.
This pack has been in the making for about 10 years now It started just in the aftermath of the Northern City disturbances in Bradford, Burnley and Oldham. And to see somebody up there saying, I've used it and it's fantastic, was very, very good.
We've talked a lot about identity. We talked a lot about how we all have our multiple identities. I just want you guys to vision that you're basically the age between 11 and 25. What I really want people to take away with them is the fact that they need to put themselves in young people's positions. It's not always hard. Along with other issues that young people face, dealing with this being Muslim and dealing with their identity can be quite difficult. Young people who have not had prior experience of actually having that discussion may not know how to deal with it. What this pack actually does is allows young people to have a discussion, challenge each other, think about a bit more about how they'd actually deal with that situation. You're in a newsagent when a woman comes in wearing a full hijab. You should not be allowed, says a man behind the counter, I'm not serving you, get out my shop. What did young people say? Boycott the shop. Challenge the shopkeeper. They felt angry, belittled, scared, and they would turn to a youth worker, parents, complain to the police that the shopkeeper was being racist. My best friend isn't a Muslim. A few days ago, her grandmother died and the funeral is later this week. My friend hasn't ever been to a funeral before and she's worried sick about it. Plus, she's really upset about her nan. She's asked me to go with her. I mentioned this to someone. You can't go, they say, it's haram. What did young people say? She should go, it's her friend. Islam doesn't say you have to have only Muslim friends. Would have felt confused about what to do at first, would need to speak to somebody. I'd go to pay respects and support my friend. It's not like you're praying to their God. I'd ask an imam for advice, parents, friend, and a youth worker. And I'd just go and not ask anyone. That was actually a view of one of our young people. I don't care, I'm going. In our RE lesson, we're copying pictures of Hindu gods into our books. These are people who crashed the planes into the Twin Towers, aren't they, miss? Says someone. No, Jeanette, she replies, that was Muslims. We're doing Hindus. Just get on with your work. So, how would you feel? Complain to the head teacher or the head of year. What's the point? Non-Muslim teachers think we're Muslims are all bad anyway. They felt angry, walked out of the lesson, felt powerless. Speak to a teacher I got along with, youth worker, parents, and older brothers or sisters. The pack is suitable for any young person. They don't necessarily have to be Muslim. You can actually tweet the pack to the group of young people that you're actually working with. It's user-friendly, it's easy accessible on www.youngmuslimcitizens.org.uk. Thank you.
I'd like people to take away general, food for thought about citizenship discussions, in particular how it affects Muslim people, and think about this as a European-wide issue as opposed to just something that we think about in national terms.